Yo, what's up? This is going to be a video about everything you need to know about Warlocks in Seasons of Discovery. My boy Shucklock and I have been non-stop for the past few days gathering any kind of information and theory crafting over everything that has to do with Warlocks in Seasons of Discovery because we're fucking broken and it's amazing. I'll be doing these for a few classes, but I'm going to start with my favorite class, who everybody knows because I made a Warlock. I was able to play test this down at BlizzCon in like the 10-man BFD like demo where you can do it. I did it a few times and I tanked it on the Warlock, which, yes, I said tanking, just in case you didn't know. We can tank now. That's pretty badass. I'll get into that a little bit though, okay? First, let's talk about the most important thing added to this game, which is the rune system. Runes are a new feature coming to Seasons of Discovery that act kind of like enchants, but we're going to call them engravings because that's actually what they're called. You can engrave on your chest, your pants, and your gloves to start at level 25, which is going to be capped at the beta, right? Eventually, they're going to go level 40 and then 50 and then 60, and they're going to unlock more slots. So like eventually we'll be able to put runes on like our fucking bracers and our belts and stuff like that, or weapons even maybe, which is going to be kind of cool. But right now, they have let us know all 12 runes that'll be out for our chest, our pants, and our gloves. These runes are not interchangeable, which means if you see a gem in your pants slot, it will always be in your pants slot. You cannot change it to your gloves. You cannot change it to your helm, or your chest. It's always going to be right there in that one slot. Starting off with the chest runes, okay? First one is Lake of Fire. Your Rain of Fire will also leave a Lake of Fire on the ground that increases all fire damage you deal and your demon pet deals to affected enemies by 40% for 15 seconds. What this does is as soon as you Rain of Fire, as soon as that first, not even a first tick, as soon as you press Rain of Fire and it touches the ground, it leaves a pool, or I guess a Lake of Fire, but it looks just like Consecration does, right? Exactly like it. So this is going to be very, very big for AoE. You already know it's going to be big for AoE, especially because it increases your fire damage. Now the meta is going to be more like you Lake of Fire just to get the tick of Consecration down, and then you're going to run in there and Hellfire. That's what it looks like for me. And later on, because there's an Incineration rune, which we'll talk about a little bit later, which increases your fire damage by another 25%. So I could really actually see the AoE meta being like you're incinerating, you get the 25%, you're Lake of Firing, you drop the 40%, and then you're in there fucking Hellfiring. Which I think that this makes your AoE bananas. I don't know if it's going to be enough to fuck with the mages, because we know the mages have like bananas AoE, but this is pretty fucking crazy. The next one is the Master Channeler. Your drain life no longer is channeled. It lasts 15 seconds with a 15-second cooldown, costs 100% more mana, and heals you for 50% more each time it deals damage. First off, this can get a little confusing. It heals you for 50% more each time you do damage. This doesn't mean it stacks. I've confirmed with the Blizzard devs. This just means if you do 10 damage, you're going to get healed for 15 damage. You're going to get healed for 15, I'm sorry. That's all it means. This is an amazing one. I think this will be used for tanking. I used this the entire time. What it looks like is a dot, right? You bun up, you put the dot on them. Now, what's cool to me, it's just a visual thing, but you still see that drain life, like kind of beam, the channel beam, the green beam. You see it everywhere. And I'm like, I put the dot up and I'm far away and I still see it on there. So that was like super dope to me. I liked it. It was pretty cool. The next one is Soul Siphon. Increases the amount drained by your drain life and drain soul spells by additional 6% for each of your Warlock shadow effects, afflicting the target up to a maximum of 18% additional effect. Sound familiar? Yeah, Lich King, the talent. Yeah. This is a good talent. I don't know how often it would be taken. Maybe more on the PvP side of things. I really like the Lake of Fire for any kind of DPS Warlock, and I like the Master Channeler. But it's too early to tell, and I'm not the smartest Warlock in the world. Check out the Warlock Discord, your one-stop shop for everything and anything Warlock related. They're smarter than me. Anyway, Demonic Tactics. Increase your melee and spell crit chance of you and your pet by 10%. Sound familiar? Demo Tree, Lich King. That's exactly where it came from. Next up is Legs and its Everlasting Affliction. Okay, just like it is in Lich King. Drain Life, Drain Soul, Shadow Bolt, Shadow Cleave, which Shadow Cleave comes from your meta, right? Whenever you meta, your Shadow Bolt turns into Shadow Cleave. So that's where the Shadow Cleave comes from. Anyway, Drain Life, Drain Soul, Shadow Bolt, Shadow Cleave, Searing Pain, Incinerate, and Haunt refresh the duration of your corruption on your target back to its maximum duration. This does exactly what you think it does, what it does from the game. And maybe I'm against the grain here. I don't feel like that's that big of a deal to refresh your corruption. I don't think snapshotting has a place as much as it does in Lich King. It might, but Lich King, there's so many different things that you would need to be snapping for. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like maybe I'm just coped out, but I don't feel like it was the best rune to put in here. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you get the what's at most that refreshes your corruption on it. I think it's cool with like, if you're tanking, what I can imagine is if you're tanking, you're in meta, you have corruptions up on things, right? Which you should, and then you Shadow Cleave, which hits 3, and it refreshes the corruptions on them, which I could see good. But I also just think that, which I'm going to speak about, there's 3 other runes, and each of them I feel like would be better for this, even if you're tanking. And that includes Incinerate. That's the next one. Burn your enemy for 96 to 111 damage and increase all fire damage you deal by 25% for the next 15 seconds. Yeah, that's in the game, just like it is in Lich King right now. However, Notice that it doesn't say that you do more damage when Immolate is on the target, which I think I like. I don't know. I mean, I guess you would always have Immolate on the target if you're taking the fire route, but still, like, it's pretty cool. Instead, it increases all fire damage you deal by 25%, and that's crazy. Just like I said earlier, imagine your AoE, you're incinerating, you're laking, you're hellfiring. That's like 65 more fire damage, 65% more fire damage, which is kind of crazy. And also, one of these runes later, spoiler alert, is a Chaos Bolt, so like more fire damage. I think it's dope. This brings in Fire Warlock in my opinion, so that's cool. The next one is Demonic Grace. Serves with fell energy, increasing your pets and your own dodge chance by 30%, and your chance to be critically strike with all attacks by 30%. Last 6 seconds. Now this is a cool one. This is like a little cooldown. This is what I think would be the tank cooldown, the tank rune. I really like Incinerate with the tank one too, because I don't know, 25% damage on fire, being able to instant cast Searing Pain, more threat. But also this is a big one. I don't care about my pet at all, right? Like, he's cool if he could dodge, but I get 30% dodge. That's a good cooldown. And your chance to critically strike with all attacks is 30%. So I think it'd be pretty cool. That's also a chunky cooldown as well. It's giving you 30% even on the DPS side of things. We'll have to wait to see what the outcome of that is, but yeah. The next one is Demonic Pact. Yeah, Demonic Pact. It's back. Your pet's critical strikes apply the Demonic Pact effect to your party members for 45 seconds. Demonic Pact increases spell damage and healing by 10% of your spell damage or 13 spell power. That's a big deal. When I saw Demonic Pact, the first thing I thought of is there's not even that much spell power in Classic, let alone at level 25, 40, 50, 60. I mean, you're starting to get some spell power obviously at some point, but to snap 10% of my spell power at level 25. So it's nice that they added the 13. And once again, it's only to your party members, right? So if it's a 10-man raid in BFD, you're giving it to 5 of those members, right? Yeah, Demonic Pact, it's here. In terms of what pets you would use, this is what I'm curious about. I was talking to Shucklock about it, and I feel like naturally you'd want Imp out for Blood Pact. And he does decent damage. But then Succubus crits more, no? And does more melee damage. So I feel like if you're using Demonic Pact, you would be using Succubus. But can you imagine Succubus getting clapped out and dying? You have to hard cast another Succubus out. That'd be kind of crazy. So I don't really know I don't know which pet's the best for this. I'm assuming that it's Succubus. I'm pretty sure someone in the comments would tell me, or hey, Warlock Discord, your one-stop shop for everything Warlock related. Get there. Yeah, but it's interesting. It's in the game. I think it opens the world up for more a support lock, which we'll get into later because one of these other talents coming up. Okay, we're moving to the glove slot for runes, and the first one is Haunt. Unleash a ghostly soul on the target, dealing 108 to 127 damage, and increases all shadow damage over time that you deal to that target by 20%. Buffs your dots by 20%, and then when it ends or is dispelled, of course, you will be healed for the damage dealt to the target. This, along with EA, Everlasting Affliction, I don't think fits that well in Classic. If you think of Haunt in Lich King, it's buffing your corruption, which your corruption does exponentially more damage than it does in Classic. You have your improved corruption giving you 10% in Lich King. You have contagion. You have, you have everything that's buffing your corruption. On top of that, your agony does more damage than it does in Classic. And also in Classic, you're still botting. I mean, you're still a curse bot, sorry. You're still going to need Curse of Wreck up. You're still going to need Curse of Shadows up. You're still going to need Curse of Elements up. You're still going to need these curses. So like, yeah, if you're running 4 Warlocks, which you're not going to run 4 Warlocks, I mean, in a 10-man BFD. You know what I mean? Unless there's some like, oh, I'm going to hate if they start talking about speed running BFD and world first BFD. That's the most, I get it. I love doing the world first stuff. I love speed running, but not this. In level 25, I don't want to hear, we're stacking Warlocks because we're going to be the first ones to shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's not going to be that big of a deal. One, you also have UA in Lich King as well. You don't have that in Classic. Maybe later. I bet you that could be a rune. But like, I feel like Haunt buffing damage in Lich King, it buffs a lot of different dots, a lot of different stronger dots. Where in Classic, you're just buffing corruption, which hits like a wet noodle. So I feel like there's not that much value for Haunt in here. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe at PvP, maybe you could do it more, but I don't think it'd be good in PvP because Chaos Bolt is here. That's right. Send a bolt of chaotic fire at the enemy, dealing 225 and 286 fire damage. It always hits. It cannot be resisted, and its knowledge causes all fire spells to pierce through absorption effects. That's right. Chaos Bolt here. I think this is going to be really fun. I hope it does more damage than it does in Lich King, because in Lich King it kind of sucks ass, but you know, who knows? But this is just a good old Chaos Bolt in your glove slot rune. I think it could work good for PvE because you have Incinerate, 25% damage, maybe throw a lake down, you're 65% fire damage, boom, you smack him with a Chaos Bolt. This is going to be very good in PvP, I think. I mean, if you can, I'm not a big PvPer, but if you can, I mean, what I'm imagining is you have your scuffed out, you're charming somebody, you can throw I don't even know, throw Lake of Fire down before the first tick, open and incinerate, and you're sending a chaos bolt and they're just getting deleted. Now, is that how it's going to work? I don't know. I just speculated. I'm not a PvPer. People smarter than me are in the Warlock Discord. But I think chaos bolt, it will be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be great. This is why I don't think you'd use Haunt at all. I think, honestly, I am a firm believer that Warlocks are going to be one of the best DPS in the game on PvE, in terms of PvE and in terms of PvP. I think they're going to dominate. I also think that, like, from the bottom of my heart, Firelock is the meta. I think there is a meta for Shadow. I just don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. The next rune, though, could help you out a little bit. Shadow Bolt Volley. Because Shadow Bolt Volley is in the game. Okay, that's right. Instead of shooting 1 Shadow Bolt out, you shoot 5 within 10 yards for, it says 20 reduced damage. I don't know if that's 20% reduced damage or just 20 damage. Because if you think about it, 20 damage makes sense level 25. But what happens when we're like level 6, 50, 60, and you're taking 20 damage off? So I don't know if that's supposed to be 20% damage, which I guess I could ask about. But yeah, anyway, it shoots at 1. It shoots at 5 instead of 1, which is great. Because, and also, if it crits, we'll put up ISB. So if they hit, you're hitting ISB up. Another interesting thing about this is if you Nightfall, guess what? You're shooting 5 out. That's pretty dope to me. What's interesting about this is when I was talking with a couple of the Blizzard devs about this, I asked about Shadow Bolt Volley. I said, "It's pretty cool. What made you put that in the game?" And they said it was between don't freak out now. It was between Shadow Bolt Volley or Seed of Corruption. And they chose Shadow Bolt Volley. I don't know about that. I definitely probably would have chose Seed of Corruption, but it is kind of cool. It does look cool. And I guess the reason that they said they did that is because we've already seen Seed of Corruption. And why not try with a new game, with a new rune system? Why not try something that we've never seen before? Which, I mean, we have seen before from NPCs, but we don't see it from ourselves. So it could be cool. I think it's great. I think this opens up a kind of support role for a Warlock if you wanted to. Like, you have Demonic Pact, you have Shadow Bolt Volley, you have everything that you can kind of help with, some kind of support role. So you have your curses and stuff. I don't really know if that's going to be right or not. I personally don't feel like Warlock should be support rolling, but it's whatever. Last and not least, Metamorphosis. It's here. It's arrived. Meta in Classic. I can't tell you, when I sat down at that, nobody told me anything. One of the devs looked at me and said, "You're going to shit your pants when you sit down at this computer." He's like, "You're going to play Warlock at the demo?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, you're going to shit your pants." I was like, "Okay, whatever." I sit down and let me tell you, when I saw the Metamorphosis on my bars, I actually shit my pants. I had to go change. No, I'm shitting. I didn't shit my pants. But I was like, it was mind blowing to me. I like freaking lost it. I remember I was on Discord comms like, "Holy shit, I'm meta." And not even just that, but you're meta. You're bigger than you are in Lich King. You know how big the meta is? I was like, you're like twice as big as everything else. Maybe 2 to 2.5, 3 times as big as, the Night Elf I'm standing next to or whatever. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, you transform into a demon, increasing armor by 500%, reducing the chance you'll be critically hit by 6%, and increasing the threat gen by 100%, increasing mana gain from life tap by 1,000%, and you transform and it transfers some of your abilities. Before I talk about those abilities, this is no longer a cooldown. This is no longer seconds. This is a form. You transform into Metamorphosis like a bear form, like just forever. You're there until you die, or like click it off or something. Also, 500% armor makes it great, and even more important, reduces the chance to be critically hit by 6%, meaning that you can't be crushed, right? This is a main tank. Before we talk about the other abilities, I have spoken with them. I have specifically asked, is this a main tank role, or is this more of a tank? You can tank dungeons, maybe tank some ads. And they specifically said this is a main tank. Keep up with prot warriors, prot paladins, feral bear druid, or feral druid bears, whatever they're called. It's your tank. Obviously, you're a ranged tank. There's fights where you're going to be better than other tanks at things, right? I think that AoE tank is going to be kind of rough. You know what I mean? I feel like you're not going to be able to hold threat. You have an AoE taunt, which is a 10-minute cooldown that I could use. Other than that, your Curse of Wreck turns into a taunt, right? Curse of Wreck turns into a taunt. It does the same thing with the debuff. It just now is a 10-second cooldown, right? So outside of that, and you have one AoE taunt on a 10-minute cooldown, you don't really have anything to keep. Yeah, you'll be able to maybe get the threat, but you're not going to be able to keep the threat on all around you as well, unless people better than me find it out. But it's kind of cool. See, it makes your Searing Pain instant cast, which is just dope. Like you can just spam it. This is where I said it's nice too. It's a huge threat gen. You guys already know how much the threat is on it. I feel like being able to incinerate with 25% fire damage. I'm not sure about the lake part because I like Master Channeler for some health coming back. But either way, fire damage is nice. And then you're spamming Searing Pain. In that demo alone, nobody was able to keep any threat off me. Like at all. Like absolutely nobody was able to rip from me unless they taunted. I will say though, I didn't know everybody I was playing with. You know what I mean? Not everybody knows how to press their buttons yet. I could, so you never know if they're playing correctly. So don't take that to the fences, right? But it was comfortable. It was very, very comfortable. In the description below, I have was like this, recording me playing the fucking demo on my phone because I couldn't stream it. So that'll be in the link if you want to see it for my Twitch VODs. But it's kind of shitty quality, but you can still see me doing it. Shadow Bolt becomes Shadow Cleave, right? This is a shadow melee attack that hits up to 3 enemies. It has a 6-second cooldowns. It also takes on all the properties of Shadow Bolt. So if for some reason you were running ISB and you Shadow Cleave and you crit, you're putting up ISB up. If you're taking Everlasting Affliction and you Shadow Cleave and they had Corruption on all 3 and you Shadow Cleave, it would refresh the corruptions on them. You also have Demon Charge, so you charge whatever enemy. You have to be out of combat to do it. It also stuns them for 1 second. And then you have Demonic Howl, which is the AoE taunt, forces everybody around you to focus you for 6 seconds. And this is on a 10-minute cooldown. Okay, and that's it for all the runes that came out with Seasons of Discovery. I did not mean to talk that long about them, but I'm just really excited. So anyway, I just want to talk about the tanking a little bit because I'm really excited about that. The biggest problem with Warlocks, I feel like, in Classic were threat. Well, we weren't doing that much damage too, but that's just me. Threat, right? You have big threat issues, right? But now you can turn that into your tanking. So it's really, really nice. And I don't mean just spamming Searing Pain on a boss for a little bit and you wearing a bunch of Shadow Res. I'm talking, they have agility. There's a cloth piece with agility and armor in there. So to a normal cloth chest had like 20 armor or something. This was called like Clam Weaving Tunic, which is hilarious to me. It had 130 armor, 4 agility, a bunch of stamina, some Shadow Res or something stamina on it. I don't remember exactly, but I do remember it had 130 armor and 4 agility. And I asked the devs, they said there's a whole new slot statting of gearing in there. It's cloth Agi gear specifically made for the Warlock tank. Agi is going to be probably our best stat. It's going to be one of the best ones. You're going to want it, right? So it's really nice. Here's a clip of them saying that it's the main tank. About the demo tanking, was your thought like, can you main tank as a demo? Or is it supposed to be on par with like a warrior tank, paladin tank, feral druid, or is it more like off tank you're helping? I've noticed I'm holding threat easily, but like I don't, in gear.
It should be able to contend with other tanks.
So it's a tank. It's like this is gonna be a main tank.
I think if you've noticed playing the demo enough too, like you play Horde. If you're trying to shaman tank Baron Aquinas, you might have a bad time. You're not going to have enough mana, right? Because shamans, they get a lot of their mana regen from blocking, right? So, you got a heavy physical fight, they're your guy. But for something like Baron Aquinas, you can hit him from range with Searing Pain, and you're good, you're chilling. Yeah. Even if you get knocked out, you're still going to hold aggro. So that's one of the things that we thought was cool, like still letting them keep some unique flavor. But there's still, and that's how Classic is, right? A warrior is good for something, a bear is good for something else. A bear can really pump threat with like an MCP, manual crowd pummeler, and like a warrior is just really good at just massive sustained threat over time or massive brick tanking if you really need to like set those unbalancing strikes and stuff like that, right? So
I like that. Yeah. So like I said, I was able to do a few runs of it. I'll link in the description below, which is in my Twitch VOD. However, my good friend Mr. GM did a run, and that's what you're seeing right now on screen. It was so much fun, and I'll have an in-depth guide on Warlock tanking done later today or tomorrow, okay? As for what changes on the DPS side of things, I honestly think that there's a Fire Warlock meta coming right now. With Incinerate buffing your damage by 25%, Lake of Fire another 40% if you want it. Chaos Bolt, it's just really nice. Very strong single target. I think we're going to be up there with the best of them. Fuck you, Warriors. And then AoE's, I think AoE's going to top. It's hard because mages do so much AoE, as we know. But I mean, that whole like Lake of Fire or the Incinerate for 25%, Lake of Fire puts it down, run in Hellfire is going to be massive amount of AoE. We weren't even that bad at AoE in Classic. Obviously, we weren't. Like if you think about just running in and Hellfiring it back, dangerous to do, I know. But you still did all right AoE, right? We're not touching the mages, right? But we still did kind of all right. Now it's like you're doing exponentially more fire damage. And can you imagine when the trees open up, because right now it's level 25, then it's going 40, 50, 60. Can you imagine when we get all of our Destro talents and you can get like Ember Storm, Emo can flag, it's going to make single target and even AoE with the Ember Storm that much better. And I think it's going to be so much fun. I think it's going to be dope. And I think also, like I said, that there's a role for a support Warlock coming right now. I think you can Shadow Bolt volley is going to be really nice to apply improved Shadow Bolt if it crits. You have Nightfall procs spitting out 5 at the same time. Also, you have Demonic Path buffing your party. I can really see the viability of a support lock. And as I know, I don't give a fuck about a support lock, but I know that there are people out there who would play a Warlock as a support role. And I think it'd be kind of cool. And for you PvPers, these rune editions are going to change the fucking game for you. I'm serious. Warlocks were arguably already the best class in the game with their whole souling shit. But now you have all these fire talents, bro. You're able to nuke people down. You're going to nuke everybody down right away. You have the whole, I think Chaos Bolt's going to be super broken in PvP. The whole fire damage buff is going to be nice. I know we can't talk about it yet, but imagine when you get down, like I said in Destro, when you get down there far enough. Right now, you can get Shadow Burn at level 25. Imagine the meta where you can just run some weird funky Destro with Shadow Burn, you know, and if you get the runes. You need the runes, obviously. I'm getting overly excited right now because you need the runes to get it, and you never know what runes you're going to get, right? But if you get that meta rune, imagine getting that Metamorphosis rune. 500% armor and instantly casting Searing Pain. I think you're unfuckwittable. I don't think there's gonna be anybody that that can mess with someone with a meta rune. So it's gonna be really exciting to see that, and I fucking can't wait. Well, as you can see, guys, Warlocks are sitting very, very comfortably for Seasons of Discovery. We can build ourselves to be a main tank, a top damage pumper, and a monster in the PvP, which is gonna be Ashenvale, right? So I hope to see you guys out there. I hope you guys are excited as fuck. And yeah, no matter what you choose, just know that I think you're in a pretty good spot to have a lot of fun and dominate whatever it is that you want to do. Most importantly, let's have some fun. All right. Until next time, my friends, make sure to leave a like and a follow if you don't mind. I really would appreciate that, and I appreciate you. You can check out the stream over at twitch.tv/CrixVibes, where I'll be playing 2 Warlocks, 1 tanking, one main tanking, let me rephrase that, and then 1 DPS, as well as a mage and a shaman and some other things that I feel like playing. Yeah, see you when Seasons of Discovery drops. Be safe, and big cheers.